Welcome, this is Jason Moss, and we're having another interview as part of the Manufacturing Success in Georgia Books Tour. And today I am thrilled to be here in, what's the name of the town we're in now?
Rennes.
Rennes, Georgia. I've been talking about it all day, but we're here in Rennes, Georgia, and we're visiting with Stephanie Stuckey and our
RG Lamar.
RG Lamar. And we're going to be talking a little bit about the rebirth of the Stuckey's brand. Now, granted, guys, I know that that this is a book tour, and we're mostly focused on companies that were mentioned in the Manufacturing Success in Georgia book. But the only reason that Steffi and her crew and the story is not in the book is because I didn't know about her until now. But we're really excited about a possible second edition, and rest assured that if as soon as we get that to print, they'll be included because they've got an amazing story. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this over to Stephanie. I'd like Stephanie to tell a little bit about her background and what Stuckey's is all about. If you've been watching anything on social media, you've seen her, and she's been doing a phenomenal job about promoting products and manufacturing across the state. So with that, Stephanie, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Thank you, Jason. First, I just want to say welcome to Rennes, Georgia. We're so delighted to host you, myself, and my business partner, co-owner and president of Stuckey's, RG Lamar. So, history of Stuckey's, we were founded in 1937 as a roadside pecan stand by my grandfather. Mm-hmm. From those very humble beginnings, he grew it into a roadside national chain of some 350 stores in 40 states, and we had a candy manufacturing plant, right, and a sign painting company, okay, at one point, and also a trucking company. He sold the company in 1964 before I was born. The company was out of family hands for decades. My dad got the company back. He righted that ship. It was really in bad shape at that point, and he kept it going. My dad and his business partners retired about a dozen years ago. Okay. And frankly, the company started to falter again. There was only a skeleton crew in place at that point. They did great work, but just limited resources and capacity. And the company started downsliding. That's when I had the opportunity to buy the company. Okay. I'm not your typical third generation member of a family business because it fell out of our hands for so long. And sure, then I actually bought the company. And the smartest move I made was about 6 months into it, I realized I couldn't do it alone, got a business partner, he's co-owner, and jointly we acquired this manufacturing facility in Rennes where we are today. It's a pecan shelling plant as well as a candy plant. Pecan plant operates during pecan season. So right now we're in the summer in July, it's not operational, but we do have the candy plant year round. And the way we're rebuilding this wonderful nostalgic brand is through the sale of our products. We certainly want to see the stores come back as well, but we're focused on what we can accomplish right now and what really makes the most business sense. And that's bringing this candy plant as part of what we're doing. And we're just super excited to be part of manufacturing and putting America back to work.
I love it. I love to be part of that and being able to tell part of that story. You know, as I've been going around the state and learning and talking to other folks in the manufacturing space, one of the things that they kept popping up and asking me as soon as I mentioned that we were going to sit down and talk, the question that often came up, and you kind of touched on that a little bit, is what is your game plan? Okay, so is it bringing the brand back for sure? Is bringing the product back? You know, the production of candy, the stores. I mean, what's your goal? What can we expect to see in the next 5 years?
Well, I'm going to let RG feel that one so we can share time. And he has really been a critical part of the strategic direction of this company. And I do think it's important when you have a family brand, sometimes you get so close and so emotional to it because it is your family, to bring in someone with a fresh perspective who can step back and say, all right, strategically, here's how you need to rebuild this brand. And RG has been critical in coming up with what's really going to make business sense and brand sense for bringing the company around. So
Thank you.
Perfect.
him-
Well, yeah, I've
Yeah.
actually done a little bit of research on you when we were getting prepped for this event. You're a very impressive history and background in the farming industry, and tell us a little bit about that. I mean, for folks that are thinking manufacturing and farming and production, how does all that connect?
Sure. Yeah, so our family's been in the pecan farming business for about 45 years. I realized several years ago that just taking a price for our crop wasn't the best business strategy, so we developed a brand that we could set the price for at market to try to market our crop a little bit better. So that kind of got me into consumer packaged goods, and we've known the Stuckey family for a long time. We've leased an orchard from them. The original Stuckey orchard, actually, in eastern Georgia,
really?
our family has leased. Yeah. So when the idea came up of putting our efforts together, putting our heads together, and trying to bring Stuckey's back, it was a no-brainer for me. And to kind of answer your question a little bit, a lot was lost in those years when Pet bought the company out. A lot of stores were sold off, assets were sold off. But one thing that wasn't lost is the brand equity in the Stuckey's name. And so what we recognized together when we bought her dad out is, hey, there is value in this name still, and we can sell a product with the Stuckey's name that people will be delighted to see on the shelves. So that really is our strategy going forward, is selling those products.
Right. So tell us a little bit about what the production is here, and what y'all's are y'all going to be looking at producing other products other than the Stuckey's brand, or is it going to be solely Stuckey's products here?
Good question. Yeah. So this facility we purchased in January was formerly Atwell Pecan Company, which is also a very old company. It started in the 1930s, just like Stuckey's did.
Okay.
So it's just as old as Stuckey's. And the business here that we bought is a pecan shelling plant, like Stephanie said. A lot of that product goes actually into fundraising business.
Really?
So we shell about 2 million pounds of in-shell a year in the shelling plant, and the lion's share of that, about 75%, is going into 1 pound bags of pecans that are sold to organizations that are raising money, like a Lions Club or a church or a Greek organization, that sort of thing.
Okay.
And then the existing business we bought also already had a candy manufacturing facility, which we, of course, were interested in. But we do a lot of private label or white label type business there with other brands around the state.
Okay, I got you.
Yep.
I got you. Very cool. Well, I tell you, it has been amazing to see kind of how the pieces come together. Having been able to have leased the farm from the family, it's really neat to see how the Stuckey's brand connected to the products.
Yeah.
Can I add one thing about that? My grandfather did business with Mr. Atwell.
Okay.
And bought pecans from him. And across the street from where we're parked right now is an old Stuckey store.
Okay.
Unfortunately, no longer a Stuckey's. It's a Dutch house restaurant and serves great food. But my great aunt, Jane, used to live there and run the store.
Okay.
So there's tremendous family history in all of what we're doing. And so, like we were talking before we went live, I think it's so important to highlight there are some wonderful large corporations in Georgia, but there's also many that are like ours that are small corporations. We're talking about 100 employees or less.
Okay.
And we're in manufacturing too, and we're a critical part of the economy.
Right. I got you. Well, I tell you, it's fun to hear the stories and learn about how the pieces fit together, and hear sort of the game plan going forward for manufacturing. One of the things I have learned on this magical tour that we've been on is sometimes technology will get you a little bit, and sometimes cell signals are stronger than other areas. So if you guys are tuning into the live show by chance and there's been a delay, we're going to re-air this. We've actually got it archived. We're going to build we've got a page built where we'll have the full interview archived as well. So if you missed a little piece of it on the front end, fear not, we're going to definitely circle back around to get that message out there to you, because again, it's been a little bit tricky to there's only so much that you can do with technology.
Rural broadband issues are real.
Exactly. So tell us a little bit about the technology on the manufacturing side. What are you seeing? What are you planning to do in that area, Stephanie? You always kick it over.
I'm looking at RG.
RG. There you go.
He's really hands-on here.
Right.
He's the
Yeah.
best one.
We are actually bringing in a lot of new technology. There's, the pecan shelling technology has not changed a lot over time. There was a big advance in crackers back in the 90s when the quantz cracking technology came out.
Okay.
And so this plant's been running that quantz cracking technology since then. We're actually replacing those quantz crackers this year with it's really kind of the first breakthrough in cracking technology we've had in over 30 years in the pecan business. And that'll be helpful. You just have, for us, milling loss in the pecan industry is really important when you're shelling. So we'll be able to limit our loss in the cracking phase of the plant by capturing everything that's broken up there. And then we're also putting in an even more impressive advance in the shelling industry is the scanning technology. So these electronic
Wow.
eyes.
Really?
Yeah.
Mhm.
So used to years and decades ago, you would have had probably 50 to 80 people sitting manually inspecting all the product coming across belts and separating the shell from the pecan meat and separating meat that was damaged from meat that was good quality. And it was completely a manual process. So electrical scanning technology came about again 30 to 40 years ago. And at that time, it was a huge advance. Now we look back at those original scanners and think about how rudimentary they were. So the next generation of those scanners is available now, and the technology in them really is mind-blowing. I mean, it's amazing what they can do. So we're replacing some kind of last generation scanners this year, and that'll be a huge help to this operation.
Okay, and that's on the pecan side of it.
That's
Did
right.
you ever imagine that you're going to be in the candy manufacturing world? Was that on your radar?
No.
RG was
Not at all.
working in the State Department after
Right,
college,
right,
so
right.
like me, very different career trajectory, and then figured
Well, tell
out.
us about, a little bit about your background in that pre-candy manufacturing.
Yes, I was an attorney. I practiced law. Then I served in the Georgia legislature for 14 years. And then I ran an environmental nonprofit law firm and went on to the city of Atlanta as director of sustainability. Never thought I would be running my family's business, but the opportunity came up. So I think the lesson there is to be open when you get an opportunity that you did not expect, and also to recognize that the skill sets that you get from some of these other jobs that maybe on the surface may not seem like they're entirely applicable really can be.
Yeah.
I'm used to advocating for the underdog. That's what I did as an attorney. Well, we're a scrappy comeback brand, so I use those same skills. As a politician, I had to persuade people, and I had to sell issues and sell myself as a candidate. I'm in the candy business and the pecan business. We're selling all day long, trying to get people to buy our product. And same with RG is diplomatic skills. We're now doing export, import, trade negotiations, and those are incredibly helpful in this new role. And so you can also use them to build and expand. So this facility, correct me if I'm wrong, they didn't do export.
Right.
Yeah, so we're doing that now. RG brings that skill set to the table, and he can draw upon having been in the State Department and understanding international relations. So I think just being nimble and being willing and able to apply the skills you've accumulated throughout your career to a new direction is incredibly invaluable.
Yeah, that's fun to see how people evolve but every step of the way, use the skills that continue to just build on what you've experienced, and I'm sure that having that knowledge about import-export from the legislative side probably gives you some insights that maybe some of the other manufacturers wouldn't have been able to have access to. So that is fantastic.
Certainly regulatory issues from my legislative background have
Right.
been very helpful. And also it's who you know. And so I still have contacts in state government. It's very important to always work across the aisles and be bipartisan, because that will help you throughout life. You never know who might be an ally for you on something.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, one of the things that we continue to hear is across the board, manufacturers, man, it is part of the reason that we're doing this book tour, and we're doing it right now, is because there's a little bit of a gap. We've got an opportunity to kind of rebuild our organization, the Georgia Manufacturing Alliance, we help support manufacturers across the state, and we typically do plant tours and networking events and educational sessions. And we've toured everything from Caterpillar to Gulfstream to King's Hawaiian, and people might say, well, what does a King's Hawaiian dinner roll have to do with a $70 million aircraft? It's manufacturing. It's converting a raw good into a finished product using a machine. Sure. And so we've had 14 years of pretty fun success being able to connect industry leaders and have them go in and see other operations and learn best practices and build those alliances and build those relationships so they've got other people that they can talk to. So that has been fun, and then COVID kind of showed up. We also host the Georgia Manufacturing Summit. We were expecting to have a little over 1,000 people attend this year. This would have been our 7th year, but but we got an opportunity to rebuild and reset, and we finished the book. And again, shameless plug, if you have not got it yet,
here's the book.
Go to manufacturingsuccessingeorgia.com, and you can learn all about the book. You'll be able to watch this interview in full.
I am so impressed. I binge watched every episode of Schitt's Creek. You wrote a book.
I love it.
That was my COVID project.
Well, fortunately, I had a great co-author, Diane Wilcox, and she helped kind of move this thing along. But I would have never had the opportunity to get it done, right?
Yeah.
And so we got it done, and while we're waiting as factories open back up for us to go in and do tours, we thought, well, heck, we'll just do this book tour, talk a little bit about what's going on, and what I've seen across the board. Everybody that I've talked to has said, we're having challenges finding good quality workforce.
Oh yeah.
So let's talk about that just a little bit. What has been your experience in the manufacturing side, been able to find and source quality employees? I mean, I hear it differently in Atlanta than I hear it in Middle Georgia.
I love the way I look over to RG when it's a tough question. But
we
really have been working hard on this, and RG's
really
been the lead, so I think it's appropriate for you to field it.
It's been a very challenging problem, and we've been very excited and really in awe of the response that we've gotten. We re-released the iconic Stuckey's pecan log roll,
right,
along with 6 other classic candy items that Stuckey's has sold in the stores. The items that people really love and remember: the Gophers, the Divinity bars, the pralines, and things like that. Just have been amazed at the response. We've had incredible brands that you would know. I don't think I can say them right now on the air, but who are interested in bringing the products in. And so it's been very exciting, and at the same time excruciating to realize that we actually don't have enough staffing in our plant right now to fulfill all of the orders that we've got in the sales funnel. So we're having to actually look at our potential upcoming sales and say, all right, let's cherry pick this one. I think we can handle this one right now. And it's a classic balance, right, for any growing company trying to balance your growth with your capacity. Yeah. Everybody deals with that problem, but it's exponentially more difficult in the labor market environment that we're in right now, and not being able to get just the people to come in and do the work. Yeah. Well,
that's one of the pieces that we've been hearing across the board. So that's part of why we're out doing what we're doing today is showcasing manufacturers from across the state, talking about what's going on and talking about the opportunities that there are for people to get in and have a rewarding career in manufacturing. Yeah.
Well, one of the things that we've done, and RG spearheaded this along with the consultant we brought in, is we took a very thoughtful look at the processes in place and wanted to establish and reset. Us coming in and buying the company is an opportunity to hit the reset button, right? So it's a good time to bring in a new structure. So we wanted to just not do the usual, all right, we're going to offer you a pay raise, but we want to put in a pathway to success. If you work here, you're not just working an assembly line, but you are having an opportunity to really grow and build and be part of something special. And so we just finished putting a lot of those initial structures in place. You're going to learn to work this line, and then you're going to learn to work another line. And if you gain these certain skill sets, and you can build up, and then we're going to give you an increase in pay. And you're going to not only raise what you earn, you're going to raise your capacity. And so we're really trying to make it meaningful to work here.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, I know it's factory work and there can be some aspects of it that are repetitive and not super exciting, but just the sense of you are being part of something bigger.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing is I think it's important to look to non-traditional. Can we hire some people who are maybe on the autism spectrum? Can we look at people that may have had some past history that make it a little more challenging to get other jobs? To be open about the types of individuals you want to try to work with and put parameters around that to make sure that you're positioning the company for success. But I think it's just being very creative and not just doing the usual, all right, let's put in a pay raise. That's how we're going to get people.
Right.
Nowadays, you got to do more than that if you really want to recruit.
Right. Well,
Give you an example of what I'm doing. Right before this interview, I went to Subway to eat lunch, and I offered $200 to the lady there for anybody she brought to me to hire at our candy factory.
I love it.
That's
I love
cool.
it.
That's cool.
I think it's a lot more fun to work at a candy plant than making sandwiches. I'm just putting that out there.
Yeah, if you're picking.
Yes.
Yeah.
If you're working fast food, we
Everybody
welcome
out
you
there in
here.
Radio Land, you bring me an employee that'll pass our 90-day trial period. I'll give you $200.
I love
Yes.
it. I love it. That's a challenge, baby. Bring it on. I love
Yeah.
it. Well, cool. It has been, like I said, it's been really fun to see your marketing. That has been just fascinating to me to see somebody take such to be able to communicate your story, communicate the history.
Thank you.
And your mission, what you're out to
Yeah.
do. Now, last week I talked with Joe Paolini at Bobby Dodd Institute.
Oh, yeah.
I archived that. Such a great guy. I mean, he's been working with us for a couple years now. There's a whole story behind a brand new product line that they brought to market as a result of COVID and some of the connections that they made through GMA. They got a whole new product line that they're bringing to market, and it's really neat to see how those pieces fit together. But if you're looking to be able to bring in some other resources that, like you were saying, kind of out of the box, they've got some great connections all across the state, not just at Bobby Dodd, but I mean, Joe's
Good to know.
connected to everybody. So I'd encourage you to reach out to him. 'Cause he's a good
Absolutely. And
resource.
marketing is key. You've got to get out there, and it's not just selling your product.
Mhm.
It's
Candy.
sorry. It's selling the brand, right?
Yep.
Oh,
Cool.
sorry. Oh,
We're
okay.
bringing
Sorry,
in
we've got a
So
prop.
I'm throwing Stephanie
Yes.
off a little bit, but
I was like,
we're
what
bringing in a
did
prop.
I?
Yep,
Do I
yep,
have
yep,
like?
yep,
Is there a bug on my face? All right.
It's like something's coming in here.
Yeah. So this is part of our marketing and you talked about the stores, and we do love the stores. They're a special part of what our company is
Perfect,
all about. But
So you're gonna play Vanna for us a little bit. Hold it up just a little bit so
yeah.
people can
Can you see it?
So tell us what this is all about.
this is about the new product line that RG referenced. We're really getting back to the basics.
Okay.
And the basics are the pecan log roll, right? Dance with the one that brought you. The pecan log roll is what made us the brand that we are, along with these classic, the blue roof that people still recognize. And we do have a handful of these stores still around. And
Right.
our goal for the stores, I know people ask this, is the stores are really a showcase to sell a product.
Okay.
We're focusing on the manufacturing. We're focusing on producing the most delicious pecan treats and snacks that you will find anywhere in the world. And we
Right.
happen to be, let me do my Georgia plug. This is from the Georgia Department of Economic Development.
I love it.
We are in the #1 pecan producing state, Georgia.
Yep.
And so this is how we're promoting our product. And all right, hopefully this
There
is
you go.
not going to be hard to open.
I don't know if Candy has wiped that thing out yet or not.
Yeah.
She said so.
Yeah,
So
did
I
you-
grew up. I tell
did
you,
your
a little
wife
bit,
eat
a
all
little
the
bit of my
sample
background
products?
is I grew up.
This is our sample box.
and saw a ton of these things on the road and have eaten lots of Stuckies. And that was my favorite stop on the road.
Yeah.
Growing up as a kid, my father was a pastor and he pastored
Oh,
up
you
in North
did the
Carolina.
circuit? Were you a
So-
Methodist?
No, Baptist.
Baptist,
So
okay.
he was in seminary up in North
All right.
Carolina. So we drove up to North Carolina all the time and always drove by. That was always the safe place to stop and
Thank you.
Always had like more pecan log rolls than
And
I'd like to admit, but I'm thrilled to have them back, back on the radar. My son has not experienced it, but today, before we leave this parking lot, my wife, I'm glad to say, will be enjoying a pecan log roll. And hopefully, what we'd like to do is come in and take a tour of the factory.
Yes.
We do tons of tours all around the state. We're going to be taking a tour of the Georgia Ports Authority, the Garden Terminal, Garden City Terminal.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to be doing that on the 29th. But the week before that, we're touring Iron Shield Brewery in Lawrenceville. So we found that our brewery tours, our port tours tend to be really well attended. And I know that our candy
tour,
factory tours are going to be off the chart.
Quick plug: we do have a Stuckey's Pecan Log Roll beer that we partnered with Wild Heaven Brewery, based out of Avondale Estates and Atlanta.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Sweet.
I just pestered their CEO actually yesterday and said we need another batch because we sold out.
I love it.
But getting to marketing, and you just told that wonderful story about your father's pasture growing up and stopping at the stores. That's what we bought. Yeah. Right? We bought that brand. We bought those stories. And what's made this brand so fun to work on with this revival is that we're just tapping into what's already there.
Yeah.
There's a rich mining to be done of all these wonderful stories that people have.
There's such a desire right now in America, having gone through COVID and going through some of the stuff that we've been through, and some of the uncertainties, some of the challenges that we're faced as a nation. People want something good. They want something wholesome. They want something solid. And to be able to pull back on that, I think it's genius to be bringing the brand back 5 years ago or 10 years ago might not have had the impact, I think, that it's having today, because people want to go feel that good, warm feeling again, back when things were a lot more simple, right? And so I'm thrilled to be able to be a part of it and watch how this thing goes.
Thank you.
Although weren't in this edition of the Manufacturing Success in Georgia book, there'll be more coming down the road, and we want to be able to tell the success story.
Yeah, well, we weren't making our comeback when you were working on this is all very new. We just closed on this plant January 29th.
Wow.
They just started. We got the flow wrapper working, and we just bought some new machinery and equipment to accommodate the new lines for Stuckey's, and all of this, this is literally made
fresh
last
today,
week.
Right?
Yeah, 2 weeks ago for the candy show. So
sweet.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of that, the candy show, I'm a trade show junkie, man.
Oh my gosh.
I love them so much. I started one, right? So,
wow.
But so with the trade shows being changed up, what are some of the other ways that you're going to market? I know you're killing it on social media, but what are some of the other ways that you're taking and getting this brand out into the market?
Well, a lot of it's just word of mouth and I'm hand delivering these to stores.
Right.
I was in Atlanta yesterday dropping these off.
I love it.
So it's just hustling, getting the name out there. I think trade associations, even if you don't go to a trade show, but just the contacts that you get through that, and then just market research. Mm-hmm. We know the types of stores where our product would sell well. Okay. And, a good rule of thumb for me is if they sell Moon Pie or they sell Goo Goo Clusters or Little Debbie Snack Cake, some of these others in the Nostalgia Sweets and Snack Club, our product would likely do well. And so who can we reach out to? All right, maybe I don't know the CEO of Cracker Barrel, but I could mail them this box with a nice note. So that's part of it. Did I miss anything, RG? How else are we getting?
Well, he mentioned the social media, but I really think that needs a lot of emphasis.
Yeah.
Stephanie's doing a phenomenal job on social media, as you know, and that is generating a ton of leads.
Yeah.
People see the renaissance of the brand and want to be a part of it, and so a lot of times they reach out to us and want to bring the product in.
Nice.
What's been so gratifying is I get people who they don't own a retail operation, but they have a friend who does. It's so word of mouth marketing is the best marketing of all, right?
Absolutely.
Shout out to Ted Wright, who is one of our board members, and that's what he does is really promote word of mouth marketing. And people calling their friends who have a retail operation saying you should carry Stuckey's, bam.
Yeah.
That's when you've really got a brand that's got stickiness, because I can call, and I think it is helpful for me to call or RG to call, but to have a personal friend of theirs say, I love this brand, I love this product, I think you should carry it.
Retailers
That's
listen to the voice of the customer, right?
Powerful. Yeah. So we are actually getting a fair amount of that.
Yeah. Cool. Well, we're getting tons. I'm picking up a couple hits on this live channel of people loving to follow the LinkedIn post. So
thank you.
Got some love there. So so a couple things. One is on the manufacturing side. What is it that's like keeping you up at night? What's the biggest challenge that you're running into that you think the Georgia Manufacturing Alliance community might be able to bring to the table and add value in that space? What are some of the challenges that you're running into that you'd like some help on?
Well, I've already talked about labor, so I won't talk about that again. But so the candy factory that we bought, one of the things that's neat about it, kind of quaint, is it is still very artisan based, right? It's very handmade candy. Sure. So, right now, if you buy a pecan log roll, that was made by hand in our factory in Rennes, Georgia, which is cool. But handmade can only take you so far when you've got the sales coming in like we do, and the growth that's starting to happen for Stuckey's again. We do need to try to sort of automate some of this to be able to keep up with it. And that's something that, I'm a pecan farmer. So manufacturing, Stephanie's talking about it like I'm some kind of manufacturing expert.
Compared to me.
Of course you are.
I'm on a steep learning curve. So we're working with some consultants and doing some things to try to help with the automation. But that is, that's kind of the next big thing for us after we kind of, Stephanie mentioned our program that we're putting in place to address the labor issues. Once we get that squared away, the next thing is how do we automate some of the production of these key items that people are looking for from Stuckey's.
Perfect.
And the other thing I would add, I like what you mentioned about the tours that you host. I would love to coordinate with y'all on how we can start giving tours in a way that doesn't disrupt our operations. But a lot of what our brand is about is tourism. Yeah. We've traditionally been in small towns across this country, and we like to promote not just the place where you pull over and get our product, but usually when people have traditionally stopped at Stuckey's, it's because they're on vacation and they're going to a tourism location.
Yep.
So that is very much in the DNA of Stuckey's, is promoting wonderful places to visit. And so I love this aspect of manufacturing being part of tourism, and that is a powerful economic development driver. So would welcome any collaborations, sharing of creative ideas on how we can make manufacturing more of a tourism opportunity for Georgia. And I'm interested too, not just and I love World of Coca-Cola, so I don't want to use it as a bad example. It's an example of a really big company, but most of us are small.
Right.
Like RG said, we have a lot of our product done by hand. So those manufacturing facilities aren't as often available for tours.
Yes.
Usually because we're too busy trying to work and fill orders. But I think there's such value in seeing that. And to me, it's more interesting than a sanitized tour that's very much done just for public consumption. If you walk through this candy plant on any given day, you may see a line go down because the flow wrapper's not working, maybe just temporarily. But that's like the reality of running a plant.
Well, let me share a little secret with you. A lot of the big factories that we've toured run into exactly the same thing, because manufacturing is manufacturing. It's just part of the game.
Yeah, so I was referencing more where a lot of Hershey, Pennsylvania, that is a tourist tour, right. Which is wonderful. But I think there's an opportunity. There's only so many of those, and there's only so many companies that can afford to run that kind of operation. Yeah. But smaller manufacturing facilities could, I think, do a limited number of tourism opportunities that promote what it's like to run the day-to-day grind of a factory.
Well, pre-COVID, we were doing about 120 live events a year. If
wow.
you do the math, that's a lot.
That's a lot.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
And they weren't all tours, so we were doing some networking events and educational sessions and 65 tours a year. And that's pretty, and some were mom and pop machine shops all the way up to Kia and Gulfstream, right? So we get to go see a good mix of companies. But one of the things that I often find just fascinating is how much manufacturing there truly is in Georgia. folks say, I was invited to speak at in Kennesaw State College and asked a graduating class, how many manufacturers do you think we have in Georgia? And one little hand popped up, and they said, I think we probably got 15 or 20 manufacturers in Georgia. And then and another one boldly stood up and said, well, I think now surely we've got more than that. Surely we've got, maybe 100. And in 5 minutes in that conversation, I was just like, well, really, is this really, you think all we have? The most it got up to is like 300. Well, the reality is we have over 10,000 manufacturing facilities in the state of Georgia.
Wow.
And the average consumer cannot name 3 things that are made in Georgia.
Wow.
Which is interesting but infuriating for me. Because I know how much stuff is made here.
Right.
And if you want to live in a state that has a successful manufacturing community, you need to buy the stuff that's made here. And the first step on buying the stuff that's made here is knowing what's made here, right? So this opportunity, doing these tours and coming out and hanging out with you guys and doing the factory tours. Now, I will give you all the inside secrets that I've got on hosting an amazing factory tour. So I'll be glad to share the best practices that I've seen over the years. But that's what it's all about, is sharing and being able to say, okay, well, this is what works. And you might want to look at it that way. And maybe it's, if you set it up to small groups of 5 to 10, there's a way to do that and do it successfully. Mm-hmm. So I'm excited about playing a part in that. And I am just, again, I am thrilled beyond measure for you taking the opportunity to hang out with us. Bring us some samples. We're going to go enjoy some samples, and we're going to go walk through the factory and do a pre-tour. And hopefully in the next few months, we'll be able to come back and bring some of our GMA buddies. But before I wrap it up, I wanted to say, is there anything else that you'd like to share with us or share with the folks out there on getting the message out for Stuckey's?
Well, since you had someone comment about like the LinkedIn post, I would just invite people to please follow me, follow Stuckey's, follow our story, and more importantly, engage with us. I'm more interested in people who share comments and people who just click that like button.
Right.
So I want to hear how we're doing. Give us your thoughts. Let us know what we can be doing to get our message out and to improve our product and to grow this wonderful brand back to something new and even better.
And if somebody just has a desire and they don't have a store right by their house, is there a way that they could enjoy some of this awesome candy?
Oh my gosh, thank you for that softball. www.stuckeys.com.
Nice. So they
order
can
online.
Product online.
Absolutely.
Get it dropped right to their house.
Right to your door.
Yeah.
But also, like I said, word of mouth marketing. You've got a local retailer, you have a neighborhood shop you go to all the time. They know you. Say, I would really love it if you would carry Stuckey's pecans or Stuckey's candies.
Right.
That would help.
So my suggestion is when you make that online order at least 3. One for you to try, and then 2 for you to share with your local retailers.
Perfect.
And encourage them to start stocking these products. And RG, tell us anything that last thoughts you'd like to share with the manufacturing community throughout the state. Any suggestions about what we need to be doing to help support you guys in your growth? Anything around that?
Just again, the labor situation right now is it is terrible. So anything you can do to help with that would be great.
Right. Well, I love the challenge that you dropped a few minutes ago about if you can bring us an employee that makes it through the 90 days.
$200.
$200. Now, hey, you heard it here first on GMA. And does that include a log roll to go along with that?
We'll put a log roll in there.
Yeah.
$200 and a log roll.
You got it.
We just bonused it up. All right, guys. Well, I tell you, this has been so much fun. I will make one more last shameless plug.
Yes.
If you have not yet got it, go online
it.
to Manufacturing Success in Georgia. Rewatch this, share this video with a friend, so that they too can learn about some of the cool products that are made right here in Georgia.
I feel like Vanna White.
And look forward to seeing you guys at upcoming events.
Thank you.